The Remedial Herstory Project is a nonprofit working to get women's history into the primary and secondary history curriculum. To help us meet our goal, we produce media, lesson plans, and so much more. You can check it out on our website, www.remedialherstory.com. Our project is funded through grants and by patrons, potentially like you.
Thank you to our patrons Jeff, Barbara, Christian, Kent, Jamie, Jenna, Nancy, Megan, Leah, Mark, Nicole, Anne, Sarah, Alicia, Katya, Michelle, Jessica, Laura, and Jackie.
If you would like to join these wonderful people and become a patron, you can head over to patreon.com and become a supporter of the Remedial Herstory Project. You too can help us reform education and allow women to be seen, heard, and complicated.
Hey, Kelsie.
Hey, Brooke.
Want to tell everyone what's happening in today's episode?
Today we are going to talk about war.
What is it good for?
Absolutely nothing.
All right, I'm down.
Hello, and welcome to Remedial Herstory, the other 50%, the podcast that explores what happened to the women in history class. Now, here's your host, Kelsie Brooke Eckert, and her partner in crime, Brooke Neva Sullivan.
Brooke, in this episode, we are going to introduce our next theme. Women in war.
Huh. Sweet.
Okay, Brooke, I have an admission.
Oh, no. Okay, I'm all ears.
I do, well, you know that I do triathlon. And
You do?
before
I kid.
every Ironman that I do, I put my feet up and I watch G.I. Jane.
What?
It's my get amped up movie. As she's doing her one-armed push-up, I'm like, I can do freaking anything.
I mean, it's definitely a Banff movie, but that's
it's my
really funny.
guilty pleasure. Don't tell anybody.
Wait, isn't that movie really problematic?
Why? It has no flaws.
I'm pretty sure that's a fictitious character, right?
It is a fictitious character. No woman has ever passed the Navy SEAL exam.
But representation matters. Can't see what we can't.
Well,
can't
the whole
be what we
film
can't
is
see.
trying to talk about the problems, right? Like how they try to push women out and took a tough woman. So today I want to talk about, we're going to introduce the theme, women in war. And like usual, we'll go back in time in our next episode. But I think to introduce it, I think it's really important to call out this time that we're in, which is women are breaking down these barriers to service, right, in the U.S. military.
All over.
We're going to talk about the origins in our podcast of women in war, but I think we need to have this contemporary perspective that it's like we are witnessing presently the effect of women stepping into positions. And, you know, you could point to like the world wars as a turning point for women because they are allowed, you know, they are recruiting women Marines, they're getting women into the army, and, you know, there's all these things which we'll talk about, but that's the foot in the door, right?
Yeah, it's the gate.
And women were eventually getting equal pay in the armed services, but equal pay
doesn't equate to equal opportunity.
Doesn't equate to equal opportunity for promotion, right? Mm-hmm. And so for a lot of the women that serve in the armed forces, so much of this has, you know, for me, it's like I'm so impressed with their badassery. But for them, it's about like career advancement, right? Yeah. And so a lot of women that we see breaking barriers, it's economic, right? It's not just about physical prowess and all those sorts of things. But one of the things that's really a metaphor, you know, I'm going to bring in running and triathlon just one more time and then I'll drop it.
Fine.
Okay, I promise. One of the things that always strikes me is, you know, the 4-minute mile was such a barrier that nobody could break. It was sort of like, how are all of these really fast people unable to go under 4 minutes? It should, you know, these men, it should be possible, right, to get under 4 minutes. And then once one dude did it, it was just like a bunch of guys get under the 4-minute mile.
I guess I didn't know that about the mile.
Yeah. And
Good to know.
Now it's like constant. And so one of the really interesting things is that a lot of the barriers for women getting into these different positions is they have to pass these like grueling physical tests as well as like, cumulative experience tests. But a lot of it's physical barriers, right? And so women, whether consciously, unconsciously, covertly, or overtly, are told you can't do it. It's not designed for you. You can't carry that. You can't run that fast. You can't do this amount of whatever it is that they have to do. And once one woman does it, boom, 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 boom. And so today I want to talk about Amanda Kelly. She is the first woman to pass the Army Ranger exam, which is a hard exam.
We're not trying to like categorize which branch of the military is the most badassery. They are wide.
I have stood on Pointe du Hoc and looked down at what the Army Rangers climbed on D-Day.
I'll put out there that the SEALs are pretty badass. The Marines are pretty badass. Like those in the Navy. Like we're not trying to like go there.
They all have their branch.
They all have their branch of badassery, but we're talking about Ranger badassery in
Army
this moment.
Ranger. Yeah. So this is like the Army's elite group. And she is so interesting. She is in Georgia. She has to pass the exam in scorching Georgia summer heat. She had to carry, 50 pounds of weight on her back through the whole, through a lot of the patrol exercises. She is tough lady. She was pushed to join the program as part of career advancement. Her supervisor was like, this is a really great idea for you. Like you have a lot of potential. You have a lot of leadership. One of the things that really strikes me about her is that I can't imagine being a woman doing this. She's not the first to try to do this, but it would be hard to not think about your gender and think about the potential that you could like make history while you're doing this. And, maybe that's just me, the historian, looking at her accomplishment, but she said, it's not about you in that moment. It's about the people around you. You don't realize in that moment how many people look up to you until you complete it. Everybody has those trying periods because those mountains are really tough. And I just think that's so real, that's so like probably accurate. Like, in order to get through it, you can't think about the end. You're like in the journey,
it's like and minute by minute. Yeah. It's one of those things where I will bring up your triathlons. I can do anything hard for 5 minutes. I can do the next hard thing for 5 minutes. Like, I remember mentally getting through preseason in soccer that way. It was like, if you think about the day, not happening. Nope. But if you think about, all right, I have to get through this drill for the next 15 minutes. Yeah. I can do anything for 15 minutes.
Yep.
And then the next drill, I can do anything for 15 minutes. And you just kind of like work your way through the day that way. I imagine as an Army Ranger, I can do anything for a minute. I can do anything for 2 minutes.
Yeah. It's almost like meditative.
It's very like mind over matter. It definitely
present.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a really great point.
Hey, Kelsie, I don't think our listeners know about the new upcoming project that we're working on.
Which one?
The video series.
Oh, the video series. That's awesome.
I know. So I thought we could tell them a little bit about what the project is, how it's funded, and what the purpose is.
Well, we are producing a video series, 25 episodes on U.S. history, 25 episodes on world history. And the point of these is to provide teachers who don't know women's history with like a 10-minute video that they could play for their class. So say you're teaching a lesson on the American Revolution. Here's 10 minutes about women in that time period.
Amazing.
And it could be a foundation that you can springboard from and do something really cool on those women.
And these videos are, yes, but they are fully scripted. You can look at the scripts. They're nicely edited with some really great content.
Yep. They're vetted by historians, 2 PhDs, at least in history. So, people smarter than me.
But they're going to be free, and they're on YouTube.
And they'll be on YouTube. They also have a comedian from Hollywood who is helping to make them funny. So it's, because I'm like kind of boring.
No, very funny. But that's awesome. So they're really engaging and they're really cool content. So more to come there. So we have those coming out. And those are funded through grants?
Through our patrons.
Okay.
So their, contributions to us through Patreon are supporting that project. And then we also have a lot of people that have been donating through Instagram, Facebook. We have a Venmo account. You can find us there.
That's awesome.
And they're making those contributions. So yeah, it's an amazing thing. And if this is something that you're like, yes, that's what teachers need, every penny helps because it is a really expensive project. So.
Yeah, totally. And we had a match donor for a while there too, which is really cool. So definitely if you're interested in those, feel free to donate. You can donate right on our website, Instagram, and Venmo.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. Great work. I'm excited to see the rest of those videos.
Oh, Brooke, thanks for your support of the project.
Awesome. Wait, I looked up the qualifications to become an Army Ranger.
Oh, yeah. Tell us about it.
Do you want to hear some of these? So,
yeah.
All right. You must possess a U.S. citizenship, volunteer for assignment, and be on active duty, have a general technical score of 105 or higher, pass the physical requirements, including the Ranger fitness test, which is 55 push-ups, 69 sit-ups, 5-mile run in 40 minutes or less, 6 pull-ups, the water survival test, and a 12-mile march with a 35-pound rucksack and a weapon in less than 3 hours, qualify and volunteer for the airborne training, have no pending UCMJ action, enlist, currently hold, or voluntarily reclass into a military occupation specialty, pass the secret security clearance.
Yeah.
That's not simple.
Nope.
You have to qualify for top secret security clearance, another non-simple thing. Meet your group-specific criteria, hold an officer occupation, and then above all that else, you need an 11B NCO, which I'm not really sure totally what that is, but with a long-range surveillance expertise. So I imagine that's military equipment and militia. Opportunities for regimental reconnaissance company.
Yeah.
Just a few things here.
But also, when you look at all of those in a cumulative sense, that's a lot of people that you need approving your progression.
Oh my gosh, just think of all the things you have to get. Okay, so the physical, mental requirements, I'm sure there's a set group of people that can get there, but to get to the level you need to be at to even apply.
Right.
And then to get the criteria that you need to even be elevated to apply.
Yeah.
And then the security
if you
clearance.
think about the ways that sexism works in workplaces.
Oh gosh.
Right. So imagine the military, right? Who, by the way, do a ton of sexual harassment training.
I actually know and work with the originator for many of the LGBTQ equality work.
Yeah.
And she's impressive, a clinician and a military professional.
Yeah.
And I feel really honored to work with her a lot. But basically invented a lot of the sensitivity training, education, military medical practices, so it's fair and equitable to women, men, and trans professionals. Pretty cool stuff that the military is actually, I think, much further than many people would assume.
Yeah.
And actually believe, because they are the government.
Yeah.
They actually have to be a leader within those industries and set the tone for many within the country. So they're much further than I think a lot of people would assume.
Yeah, and maybe realize.
Yeah.
So I just think it's so impressive that she accomplished all of those things. One of the things that strikes me to bring back the 4-minute mile comparison is that since she passed the exam in 2015, 30 other women have passed it. And so
open the doors.
It's sort of once that glass ceiling is there, if you have made it, you have now said it's possible, it's doable. And so much of what we think is limiting us is not really limiting us. It is perception. And she knocked perception out of the way. And, we can do this. She did compliment her former Sergeant Major of the Army, Daniel Daly, for helping her create opportunities for women in combat fields.
Very cool.
So, these are positions that give women the exposure that they would need to meet all of that criteria. So it's pretty impressive. She is, has gotten promoted as a result of this. And I just think it's such a great way to transition into talking about women in war, because this moment, as much as she is awesome and powerful, this moment has been a long time coming with not just the last several decades of recent memory and recent history that we know, but we're going to take it all the way back a couple millennia to look at how women have always been in war. And
more on a global front, not just
on a global
US.
front. Yeah. And to help people realize how integral women have been to war, even though maybe that wasn't a named position or named leadership. And it's going to be pretty freaking awesome.
Cannot wait. I love this topic because this is like, war is a staple in the history classroom. So like, if you're not going to include women here, don't do it.
Yeah. It's like a whole theme.
Yeah. You got to get there.
Yeah. Women were there.
That's awesome. That's very exciting. Okay. Let's get into this.
Let's get into it.
Thanks, Kelsie.
Thanks, Brooke.
Thanks so much for listening to Remedial Herstory, the other 50%. Please subscribe, rate, and review wherever you listen to your podcasts to bring more voices to the conversation. We really appreciate that effort. Until next time.